Royal fever is upon us. He knows all about royals and etiquette, and we're here to learn more. Welcome back to BT, Charles.
It's a great pleasure to be here with both of you. Thank you.
So I want to know, we know that Meghan Markle has experience in the public eye as an actress, but what kind of challenges is she going to face as a royal in the public eye?
So it's fascinating because she has to learn how she's going to change to be able to act like a royal. And so she can't necessarily be opinionated. She can't necessarily have an opinion in just general conversation. She has to be able to be, always charming. You can't ever have a bad day. Be able to meet people, be able to have conversation with people that you have never seen, you will never see again. But also what's fascinating is because she's an American, how is she going to eat? Is she going to keep her American style of eating, or is she going to change to the British style of eating?
There's a difference?
There's a very big difference. And so in America, it's called the crisscross. So you cut, then you put the knife down, the fork goes over, and then you eat. Where in Britain, you cut, and the knife and fork stay in your hand, and you eat. And in fact, you eat with the food on the top of the tines versus on the bottom, the way we eat here in North America.
She's got a lot to think about.
She's got a lot to think about. Or just how do you curtsy, or how do you address someone because of all the titles. So she has a lot to learn.
I did want to ask you about curtsying, actually. Do you think she actually had like curtsy training classes?
Absolutely, because there's a way to do it, and in fact, fairly or unfairly, she's been criticized that when she curtsies, she goes down too far. It's just not something, I think it's not fair. I think that, she has a big learning curve to go through, and I think, give her a break. I think she's doing great so far.
Okay, well, on the wedding day, there's a lot to consider, obviously, if we're talking curtsies and how we're eating. But take us through the visuals. This was 7 years ago for the previous royal wedding that we covered live here on BT with William and Catherine. When guests arrive, where do people sit? What do people wear?
So what's fascinating, so when you're arriving at the church, you're not going to sit wherever you want. You're going to sit, in a very specific place. And the dress is very particular. So men are in morning suits. So a morning suit is the equivalent of, it's a tuxedo that you wear in the morning. And so that's what you wear to a wedding. And, women will have a hat on or a fascinator, which they don't take off. Men do take off their hat when they go into the church. And then you see how the Queen just arrived. And she's the last one who arrives at the church. And so sometimes people say, well, the last, well, she's the most important person. Why is she not the first? Because you never keep the monarch waiting.
Never.
So the reason she's always the last to every event, for example, the wedding, is because as soon as she comes in and sits down, that's when it starts. There is no waiting for the monarch.
Can we go back to a little bit of the training that Meghan Markle might be receiving? What's the Duchess slant?
So, I'm not really sure about that. But I think that, people love to try to create something that's there, and I don't think that there's really as much there as people are trying to make. They're trying to stir the pot a little bit.
Oh, we don't do that.
Imagine, no. Well, not here at Breakfast Television,
Couldn't
of course.
be us in the media, could it?
No. That's the tabloids.
But what about other quirks that, as we saw the Queen arrive, and I was asking you this in the green room, a no-hugging policy for the Queen. Is that a thing?
So that's a thing. So it's actually not written like, in a book or on a piece of paper or something. It's not like some sign, when you go to the Buckingham Palace, don't hug the Queen. But really what it is it's the monarch. And so we're not touching her, not because we're afraid to hurt her or anything like that, but it's just out of respect that she's the one who represents the empire, the British Empire, and she's the head of state. She's the most important person. And so it's just out of respect. But I think that sometimes people take things a little bit too far. And so, the example of, when Michelle Obama, who was first, lady of the United States, at one point she was touching, Her Majesty on her back. And so it wasn't, they were friends at that point, and they were looking at a painting, and it was just, they were together. And so I think that sometimes people take it also a little bit too far, because she's also a human being.
Charles, it was really great to have you. I do want to mention your book, The Butler Speaks. I love how it says the art of housekeeping. It made me emotional when I saw that, because we have a lot on our plate there with housekeeping.
We do, and I'm proud it's in its sixth printing, so I feel very blessed.
It's a great book, great resource. Charles, always great to have you here on the show. Listen, we'll take a break.